All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of our podcast. I believe this is episode 20 or 21. Today we have, I'll let Chris introduce him because Chris has talked to him a lot online. I believe he's the moderator in one of Chris's groups now, so I'll let Chris do the introduction here.
Alrighty, so we have Adam Brsan today on with us out in the Illinois area, has recently taken up leadership capacity in one of our groups that Insurance Toolkits sponsors, Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between, where we talk about insurance, life, and all the stuff that happens in between to kind of give a different flavor to the Facebook banter. So I'm going to have Adam on so he can introduce himself, and then we're going to get into our main topic.
Hey, thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks for having me. And thanks for helping me get involved with your group. One thing I like about your group, to me, everything kind of correlates together, insurance, and not only insurance, but the things that we get out of selling. We set goals for certain things, and really we produce, we make enough money. Well, we're able to enjoy other things. So I don't know, to me, I think everything kind of correlates together with that group. And like I said, we can talk about setting goals and how to achieve certain goals and to be able to get to where we want to get and enjoy the things that we like to enjoy, to live a good life. So yeah, I think it's a good group, and I'm looking forward to sharing more and more content with you guys on there. A little bit about me. I've been in the business. Well, I've been a licensed agent for about 20 years now. I've been strictly focused on final expense for about 19 years. So I think next year will be 20 years in the business. And I've primarily just been focused on final expense for majority of my career. The first year or so, I did a lot with health insurance, family health insurance, and also Medicare supplements. And at the time, I was kind of glad that I was getting out of it because a lot of things were changing in the health market. I mean, I was noticing even like one of the companies I was working with, commission structures were changing and things. And I don't know if the government was just getting a lot more involved with a lot of the way a lot of these plans work and that, but people were calling me all the time after my first year about their premiums going up. And that's where I found final expense. I was like, well, this is great. People's premiums don't go up. And there's only one claim when they pass away. So the only time people are going to call me is if they want to get more coverage or their family's going to contact me when they pass away. So I've always kind of been about simplicity. And then that's what I like with final expense. I think it's not a very difficult product to sell. I think that the need is out there. People know they need it. And it's just a matter of doing what we can to help them get insured and make sure that burden is relieved from their family when they pass away.
I think that's a great point. I think a lot of agents overcomplicate an incredibly simple business. Like, we sell a product that you sell in one appointment, you fill out a basic application, you get paid within 48 hours, sometimes 30 days on, and they pay on it until they die. And then when they die, it pays out. Like, this really isn't that complicated a business. We're not selling fire trucks. We're not selling cardiac equipment to surgeons. We're selling burial insurance to simple old folk. So that's all. So Adam, first topic I wanted to cover with you this morning is door knocking your way to, say, a 5K week. I think a lot of agents struggle to hit that level, and that level is really where the money starts to stack and the fun of the business really can be made. So can you talk about some key points on how an agent can door knock their way to a solid 5K week?
Well, I think a lot of it is just setting goals. And I think that, of course, you have to have enough leads to make it happen. But I've always kind of broken the goals down into smaller numbers. To me, if you think about $5,000 in premium, it sounds like a lot of money. It sounds like it's going to really be very difficult to hit that mark. But if you break the numbers down a little bit smaller, I've never really done 5,000, but I would always focus on like 6,000 and figure 6,000 in premium is of annualized premium is $500 of monthly premium. Mm-hmm. So then I would break that into a daily goal of writing $100 of monthly premium a day, Monday through Friday. To me, that doesn't sound nearly as hard as trying to write 5,000 or 6,000 a week. And so really too, I mean, I think it's a good idea to set maybe goals a little bit higher than maybe a mark you actually want to hit. So maybe if you focus on 6,000, there's a better chance you're going to hit that 5,000. It's kind of like shooting for the gold and getting the bronze rather than shooting for the bronze and achieving the bronze. But by breaking those numbers down smaller, what I would always do, I would make notes on my phone. I would have right on my notepad at the beginning of the week. I would have it marked. I would have 0 out of $500, and then every time I'd write an app, I would add the monthly premium to that number up until the point that I had 500 out of 500 for the week. And at that point, I wrote 6,000 in premium. The way I did it, my goal would be to hit that mark by Friday or by the end of the day on Friday. And if I didn't, well, then I'd be out there working on Saturday. You know, if I did hit that mark by Friday, I would reward myself by taking off on Saturday. But if I didn't hit it, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to make sure that I'd do whatever was possible. And to me, if I don't hit my goal, I want to make sure that I put forth as much effort as possible so I can go home knowing that I didn't cut out too early or give up too easy. So, but to me, it was just always about breaking those numbers down a little bit smaller, where it just doesn't feel as difficult to hit those numbers. And but with that said, I mean, you could go out on Monday morning and write a husband and wife for $100 a month. I'm not going to say to take off the rest of the day, because what happens if you strike out on Tuesday or Wednesday? I mean, you just got to have to keep going. I mean, the more you can do earlier in the week, well, the better chance that maybe you can take off a little bit more later in the week. So I think it's just that, setting goals, maybe making them a little bit easier, and making sure that you have enough leads to make it happen. And if you want to write 5,000 in premium a week, I think you probably need at least 30 direct mail leads every week.
I agree.
To be able to hit those kind of numbers.
I agree. Joe,
you got to be willing to invest in yourself.
Yeah, I think enough agents aren't willing to make the initial investment, and they never make it because they don't make the initial investment. If you're going to jump in the pool and learn to swim, you have to physically get in the pool in the first place. Yes. Joe, you and I were at a conference last week in Dallas, and Ed Milet was on stage, pretty prolific speaker. I think caught everyone's attention in the room. Great message that he was delivering. And one of the things he said, I shared with my group this morning, I'm not sure if you remember, he said something to the extent of, get everything that you don't want to do done as quickly as possible, so you can get to the things you want to do as quickly as possible. Do you remember him saying that on stage, Joe?
Yeah, he was one of the, I think he was our second favorite speaker at the event, but something that I think all took away as agents who have been successful in the field is you have to make it something that you enjoy doing. So I think when I was in the field, I'm not an outgoing person, so I didn't love door knocking, but I did love getting the app in. I did love, whether it depends on what you like. Maybe it's sending it in a group chat and everyone knows what sale you made, or there's a leaderboard, or you're winning a company trip, but having that reason that you're doing it. Because if you're just doing it for the sake of just making money and there's no point, I don't think most people in that position succeeds. I don't think that's everyone, but whether it's like buying a boat, like it has to be something. So for me, it was always setting that, mental, like, what am I working for? And that always helps me go to the next store, or it's always the last. I think there's the running joke in a lot of groups. It's the last store that, at the end of the day, the one that you don't want to knock, that you get a $3,000 app on. Mm-hmm. And it was the lay down sale of the day. And then everyone else was super hard that day. So it's just always going to, and if you can do one more each day and you work 200 days a year, that's a huge amount of doors that you would have just otherwise gone home, at the end of the day. So I think that was for me, it was the biggest thing, was to have a reason and to want to go to the next door until you can't. It's too dark or too late.
Yeah. I know what's interesting is 200,000 a year in production sounds like a number that is big. It sounds like a number that is almost hard to achieve, but 200,000 a year is only 400 or 4,000 of AP per week, which is less than $300 of premium per week. It's way more achievable when you use Adam's method to break it down. Adam, I do the exact opposite of you. I have how much I need to write for the week, and then I cut it down. You kind of build it up. But ironically, success leaves clues, and if two people are doing the same thing, it probably works. So great piece of advice there to start. Talking about having enough leads. Obviously, agents need leads in a lead-based business to be successful, but a lot of them are afraid to make that initial investment. So talk to us about the importance of having enough leads to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this a little bit a few weeks ago. You got to be willing to bet on yourself. Any business out there, it takes money to make money. I mean, if you bought a a business, let's say you opened up a convenience store on the corner in a neighborhood, well, you're not going to make any money unless you buy product to put on the shelves. So what's the difference? I mean, I have to spend money on leads. That's my initial investment. I mean, what kind of business out there could you invest as little as $800 and right away you're profiting as long as you're going out there and working? So, I mean, you got to be willing to bet on yourself. So many people, they have that fear of failure. They think way too much about the what ifs. What if I don't make any sales? And well, if you go out there with that attitude, you're not going to make any sales. You can't think about the money you're spending on the leads. You got to know that, for one thing, the lead companies are in business because not just from that person that ordered leads one time, they're in business from the repeat customers, the people that know that the leads work. And they wouldn't keep buying leads from these different vendors if they weren't making sales off of them. So, I mean, the lead, the leads is what gets you out there. You got to have a steady flow on a regular basis. You can't fear failure. And you got to know going in that you should make a lot more than what you put into it. And even a brand new agent, I mean, even if you fall flat on your face and you spend $800 on 20 direct mail leads, you should bid. I mean, you could be really, really bad or just new and just not know the business and still be able to write 1 or 2 apps on 20 leads where you're going to at least make your money back. And people just need to realize the longer they do it, the better they're going to get at it.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, you're going to profit more and more because you're going to know how to handle different scenarios, different situations. And that's another thing. I just think it's a lot of agents, they give up too soon. They don't know how to handle different objections, but they don't want to blame themselves for their failures. I remember when I first started, I mean, I would leave a house. If I didn't make a sale, I'm going to sit there for probably 5 or 10 minutes and just kind of evaluate, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better that next time I'm going to know how to handle that situation? And I think a lot of people, they just maybe give up too easy. And again, we talked a little bit about, I know you mentioned overanalyzing. Mm-hmm. They overanalyze. They think way too much about the money that they're investing in leads. They think about the fact that gas prices are so high. Oh God, I don't know if I want to drive around all day. Look at all the money I'm spending on gas. Mm-hmm. Or food prices. I mean, heck, make a lunch for yourself. That's cheaper than getting fast food every day. Yeah. But people just, they overanalyze way too much. They think way too much about the money that they're investing rather than thinking about the amount of money that they can end up making. So you just can't think about it. You just need to get out there and work. And like I said, you can't fear that failure.
You said something interesting there that if a lot of agents would embrace, they would actually be a lot more successful. You said you've bought a business. And of course, you were talking about putting inventory on the shelf and then running a retail location per se. But in this business, you've bought a business. You've opened up a franchise location for whatever organization you work with or your own brand if you choose to promote it. But you have literally opened a franchise location. You need to pay for marketing, inventory, training, manage your book, do good accounting, treat your customers properly. You've bought a business. This isn't an employment-based opportunity, generally speaking. So have that mindset in place and you'll be able to work a little bit harder, stay an hour later, get there an hour earlier, work on a Friday, keep the store open on Saturday. You've bought a business. So Adam, as a business owner and an agency owner for quite a long time, I think it's an interesting topic too, to talk about a lot of red flags you might have noticed. Agents that are doing shady shit, agents that are struggling but could be doing better. Just red flag moments that you've noticed from a high level perspective that maybe some of the agency owners that are watching in might be able to relate with as well.
That's one thing I've always been pretty good at. And I hate to have to be that way where you have to sometimes play detective, but it's necessary. I mean, I saw you post something the other day about a big roll-up debt. And it's always like, I'm sure at the time you're probably thinking kind of back to that self-evaluation. What could I have done differently? So next time I'm going to make sure that it doesn't get to that point where there's that kind of debt sitting there. And I just think, I don't know, it's important to keep up with your agent's business. I mean, I've always, to me, one red flag, we know the importance of leads. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm pretty good at keeping up with my agents. I know where their business is coming from, but I mean, let's say I just recruit a brand new person and they're putting up all this premium, just out of nowhere, and I know they're not buying leads. Well, where's all that business coming from? Like, to me, I don't feel comfortable if someone is putting up a whole bunch of business and I don't know where the business is coming from, if I know they're not purchasing leads, I don't feel like there's really that many unique scenarios out there. To me, usually unique scenarios are sometimes fraudulent scenarios. So I just think it's important to keep up with agents' business. And like I said, I mean, if you see a lot of premium coming in, that's great. But I think it's important to know where that business is coming from. And like I said, if I know that if that business is coming off the leads, well, then it's legit and I feel much more comfortable. But I have even gone as far with my company where if I notice a bunch of business, I might ask to see copies of the applications to see if there's similarities between one app from another app. And I caught a guy earlier in the year. The guy was writing like 15,000-20,000 a week in premium, and all the signatures look very similar on the applications. So, I was happy that I was able to catch the guy early on, because it could have ended up costing myself and others like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So it's just important to keep up with the agents, and communication is important. If you see someone writing a lot of business and you call them and they're not answering their phone, and you keep calling them and you can't get a hold of them, but the business keeps coming in, I'm not afraid to call the company and say, put that guy in as earned.
When Chris and I were at Epis, there was an agent who, remember Chris, the radio show in like this different language? It was like the weirdest thing, and we all were convinced, besides the upline, I think it was Cole, we were all convinced that it was some massive scam. We kept telling him cut it off, and he flew down and like met her, and it was legit. I don't know where she is now, but that was like one of the only situations I can remember. Then there was this other guy, I forget what his name was, but he started, and immediately every single app was like 3,000, 2,000, and brand new agent. We were all convinced it was a scam, and he's still in the business today. But those are the only two and he was buying leads at least. But the other person was the only one I can ever think of where massive production, and she didn't buy a single lead. It was like some Haitian radio show where she spoke in that language to that community. I do agree that in most cases, agents don't have the ability to.
Yeah, anything. I had a guy that he submitted a bunch of business, and then one day I noticed on the commission statement he had like 6 lapses, and they were all different people. I'm like, send me the applications. Let me take a look at them. Every single application had the same bank account on it. He was given the company, I think maybe even his own bank account or something, to get an advance commission. So just little things like that. But it's a matter of trying to catch the people early on and not letting it get to the point where it's going to really affect you financially.
Yeah, Joe, you noticed a couple weekends ago that somebody had cloned insurance toolkits. And it took about 15 minutes of jumping into the software, realizing he had run 100 million and a half quotes, had 2 fake profiles, and had basically copy and pasted the software, but was able to cut it off pretty quickly. And that was an awful experience, but it was a learning experience. But it's from paying attention to your business that prevents these things from all of a sudden becoming far bigger monsters than they are. Joe, share some thoughts about what that was like to wake up, or before you went to bed, realize somebody had copied your life.
I was in Cabo, actually. I was in Cabo on a vacation, and then we noticed, and luckily we don't monitor that kind of thing because you can't clone it that way. Like it's like if I wanted to build a Ferrari and I made mine out of like parts from other cars, it's not the same thing. You can only kind of clone the look. So we were able to nip it pretty quickly. But it was very aggravating. And that's just one of many things. We have agents who will make an account, they'll use it for 3 months, then they'll charge back everything, and the banks don't care. We lose every case, basically. So it's things like that are just part of running a business. But it's being able to, we have a fraud detection system where if someone signs up for another account, Stripe will flag it, we'll shut it down, and it can't happen again. So you can't mitigate everything. Like Chris said, there's always going to be some roll up, but if you stay on top of it in any business, including insurance, you can mitigate that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the sad thing too about a lot of these shady agents is if they put that amount of time and effort into doing it the right way, they'd probably be more successful. They'd probably make more money.
Yeah.
If they actually went out and worked leads. But it's they want to figure out a quick way to beat the system, and they get caught, they lose their license, and they're done.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story, then I'm going to have Adam throw another softball his way. I was checking reports, as Ben Bowman would have taught us on a Monday morning, and I saw an agent write a piece of business that's been inactive for 6 months. I probably should have cut this guy off, but I didn't. My mistake. And the piece of business he had written was on his upline. I'm like, that seems a little suspicious. And I asked a couple people, I probably asked Adam, I'm like, does this seem like something that's appropriate? And everyone said no. And everyone said you should cut that off immediately. So I gave the time. I eventually did cut the guy off, but he got so angry over something that was just plain suspicious. I said, if you had channeled that anger into production, we would have never had this anger in the first place. Take that anger and be angry at yourself for your lack of results, and then make the results. Don't just get angry because someone finally caught up to what you were doing. So, Adam, talk to an agent that's doing the right thing. He's buying the leads. He's knocking the doors, but he hasn't reached his full potential yet. Maybe he's putting up 1,500 a week, 2,000 a week, just treading water, but could be a lot better if he was doing something else. What would you say to that agent?
Well, it's just, I don't know. It's just a matter of kind of breaking their day down, kind of figuring out what time are you starting, what time are you going home. I mean, a lot of times it's when they first get going, they're treating it like a 9-to-5 job. And they might be, maybe they're going home at 5 o'clock at night. And you can catch a lot of people in the evening. I mean, I've always said, I mean, why would I want to go home at 5 o'clock at night and sit in traffic when I could probably get home at the same time and write a couple more apps and not have to sit in traffic? So, I mean, it's just a matter of kind of figuring out what their day is looking like. And I mean, I've always said there's really no reason to reinvent the wheel. I mean, are you doing things the way that we're showing you? Are we teaching you? Or are you trying to figure it out your own way? And a lot of times I think agents, they try to take shortcuts. I mean, yeah, for me, it's worked to just door knock leads. Maybe they're trying to take shortcuts. I mean, I've seen guys where they'll spend their whole day on Mondays trying to set up their whole week. And to me, that doesn't work in final expense. You could try setting up appointments for your whole week, and half of them aren't going to be home later in the week. So, I mean, I guess if you are calling for appointments, and I know you do that, or you have someone does that for you, I mean, I would say maybe 1 day out, maybe 2 days out at most, but I wouldn't go too far out in a week. So I just think it's a matter of kind of figuring out how their day looks and what they're doing, and what are they saying? What are they, what are you saying at the door? Maybe they're not getting in as many houses as they could, or maybe once they're in the house, maybe there's different objections and things that come up that they just don't know how to overcome, and and they're walking out without sales. So, like I said, it kind of goes back to that whole self-evaluation and going back to the car and saying, okay, well, what should I say next time? So maybe I can overcome that objection. Maybe I couldn't figure it out right then and there, but if I can figure it out now, at least next time I'm going to know what to say, and it can end up saving me a sale.
Yeah, I think if agents were more attentive to what they did with their time, they would make more money. When I'm home and I'm working with Joe, or I'm working with my agency, I'm working with recruiting, I have to be extremely intentional with time management. Literally write down 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and sit there and physically get these tasks down for a couple reasons. If I don't, nothing's going to get done. And if I have family, home, or other plans, I have a clear plan with them today. When am I going to be available to spend time with you? The day will be over at 3 o'clock. All my tasks will be done. Then we can be intentional with our time together. So if an agent isn't getting to their next level, like Adam said, what in the heck are you doing with your time? And then plug into people that know what they're doing so they can help you get better. Are you getting in enough doors? Are you saying the right thing? Are you staying later? Joe, you'll appreciate this one. I was working in Chester on Wednesday, had a great door knock sale in, I'm sure, a building you've been in before. And I said, this is the best way to end my day. Ended my day at 5:30. Left an hour later than I should have, or earlier than I should have. And on 95, I get caught in a car chase, and Delaware State Police are shooting down 95. This car shoots that way, nearly slaughtered on the highway. I should have just stayed an hour later and I wouldn't get caught in a car chase. It proves the point, like Adam is saying, maybe you need to work an hour later instead of getting stuck in traffic for an hour. Great point there, Adam.
Well, the more you get done throughout the week, like I said, the better chance you're going to hit that goal of whether it's $100 a day. I mean, I think a brand new agent, even $50 a day. I mean, that means you're going to do $3,000 for the week. That's not a bad week when you're first starting. So, but if you stay out later throughout the week, you're going to have a better chance of hitting that goal and being able to reward yourself by taking off on the weekend.
Absolutely.
Rather than having to go out all day on Saturday.
So I'm going to throw one more your way. We try to keep these under 30 minutes so everybody watches and gets every bit of nuggets of information out of it. What should an agent be doing over the weekend once they've met their goal to plan to be successful for the week ahead? Can you give us some tidbits on what planning looks like for you?
Well, again, I mean, I think a lot of it, I mean, it's the back office stuff. Maybe there's some applications that they need to finish completing and submitting. I think also getting lead orders put together. I mean, that'd be a great time to get lead orders put together on a Saturday or a Sunday when you're not out in the field. So just preparing. And again, I mean, it's consistently ordering leads is very important. And that's where kind of the money management comes in. You always got to be setting money aside for future lead orders. I mean, I've seen agents that are in and out of the business. Maybe they're really good, but if they are not good at handling their money, well, then they're not going to be able to keep their business running. So I just think that, I mean, the weekend is a great time for things like that. And honestly, you meet your goals, and it's a good time to cool down and relax a little bit. Spend time with your family. I mean, if we're out in the field all week and we're sacrificing, we're doing that for our families. So let's spend some time with them because they want to see us too.
Absolutely. Joe, anything you wanted to share with the audience before we wrap up and enjoy the rest of our Friday?
I think we covered a lot of good topics today. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. You can follow Chris's groups on Facebook. You can friend all of us as well. We all have personal profiles, and we hope you come back for next week's episode as well.
Absolutely. So Adam, take an opportunity to promote yourself. Let the audience know how to get in contact with you if they connected with you. We always give our guests a few minutes to kind of self-promote before we wrap up the video.
Sure. Well, you can reach me. My email address is just info at my name. It's info@adambrsan.com. Adam, A-D-A-M, Brsan. Nobody spells it right, so it's B-R-S-A-N .com. And then, my website, same thing, just my name, adambrsan.com. A lot of good training materials on there. From my website, it'll also take you to my YouTube channel if you click on the videos tab, and you can subscribe to my YouTube as well. And I try to put out content that's not just company specific, but things that can help everybody. And actually, I'm not sure when you're airing this, but this coming Monday, August 8th, I'm actually going to be hosting a training that we're going to be talking about a lot of what, I guess what we talked about a little bit with where agents fail, where they don't know what to say or overcome different objections. My training on Monday, that's what it's going to be about. It's just overcoming objections. And I think you're going to be coming on there with me too.
Absolutely. So again, as Joe said, like the video, comment below, and then subscribe to the channel. The more you guys do that, the more YouTube will show this video to people simply searching for good training content. Joe and I at that convention last week, so many people came up to the table and said, I just need training. Well, we taught them what the software would do for them, but we want these videos to be some unbiased, safe space training for you to come on, learn, and not be afraid to be recruited away in the process. So Adam, appreciate you being on with us. And again, you guys, appreciate you for watching today.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Chris.